This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. Shanghai authorities put up barriers on Monday around a city center area where hundreds of people protested over the weekend against heavy COVID-19 measures, one of several demonstrations that have fled across the country. From the streets of Shanghai and Beijing to university campuses, protesters made a show of civil disobedience, unprecedented since leader Xi Jinping assumed power a decade ago to oversee the coercion of dissent and establishment of an extensive high-tech social surveillance system. There was no sign of new protests on Monday in Beijing or Shanghai. The Public Security Bureau did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The backlash against COVID restrictions is a setback for China's efforts to eradicate the virus, which is infecting record numbers of people and raising concern about the economic toll of lockdowns on the world's second largest economy. The protests affected global markets on Monday, sending oil prices lower and the dollar higher, with Chinese stocks and the yuan falling sharply. The Pentagon is considering a proposal to supply Ukraine with cheap, small precision bombs fitted onto abundantly available rockets, allowing Kiev to strike far behind Russian lines as the West struggles to meet the demand for more weapons. US and allied military inventories are shrinking, and Ukraine faces an increasing need for more sophisticated arms as the war drags on. Boeing's proposed system, dubbed Ground-Launched Small Diameter Bomb (GLSDB), is one of about a half dozen plans for getting new munitions into production for Ukraine and the US's Eastern European allies, industry sources said. GLSDB could be delivered as early as spring 2023, according to a document reviewed by Top Accolade News and three people familiar with the plan. It combines the GBU-39 small diameter bomb with the M26 rocket motor, both of which are common in US inventories. Doug Bush, the US Army's chief weapons buyer, told reporters at the Pentagon last week the military was also looking at accelerating production of 155mm artillery shells currently manufactured only at government facilities by allowing defense contractors to build them. The invasion of Ukraine drove up demand for American-made weapons and ammunition, while US allies in Eastern Europe are putting a lot of orders in for a range of arms as they supply Ukraine, Bush added. Two seriously injured people trapped inside a small plane that crashed into high-voltage power lines near Washington, D.C. and caused mass outages have been rescued, authorities said early on Monday. Both patients have been transported to local area trauma centers with serious injuries, Montgomery County Fire Chief Scott Goldstein said in a press briefing, adding that the two people had suffered hypothermia and orthopedic and trauma-related injuries. The aircraft crashed at about 5:30 p.m. in misty and wet conditions in Montgomery Village, Maryland on Sunday. According to the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Service, it became caught up in live power lines about 100 feet from the ground. Goldstein said crews had been able to electrically ground the plane at about 11:30 p.m. and it had been secured nearly 45 minutes later, with both patients coming down by 12:36 a.m. Most power in the county has been restored, according to Goldstein. Two hospitals were back at full capacity after being limited earlier, he said. Gunfire was heard on Monday from a besieged hotel in the Somali capital that was attacked over the weekend, a nearby resident and a police officer said, while Parliament said it had postponed a scheduled session. The Belarus hotel near the presidential residence was stormed on Sunday by attackers of Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab using guns and explosives, with a police officer saying at the time that some government officials escaped from its windows. There is still heavy gunfire inside the hotel and we hear explosions from time to time. We are still in our houses last night when the siege started, Ismail Haji, who lives near the hotel, told newsmen. Special forces units known as Gashan and Aramkad had taken over operations, said a police officer at the scene who spoke on condition of anonymity. The number of casualties from the siege and the number of people rescued were not yet clear. Government officials in Mogadishu frequently use the Villa Rosa Hotel for meetings. Somalia's parliament said it had postponed a scheduled session for both of its houses. More than 80 people were wounded in southern India as villagers halting the construction of a $900 million port clashed with police, the latest escalation of a month-old protest waged by a mostly Christian fishing community against Asia's richest man. The protests are a major edict for Gautam Adani's $23 billion port and logistics company, which has been forced to stop work on Vizhinjam seaport that is seen winning business from rivals in Dubai, Singapore and Sri Lanka. Construction, however, has been halted for more than 3 months after villagers blocked the entrance of the site, blaming the port of causing coastal erosion and depriving them of their livelihoods. Over the weekend, police arrested several protesters after they blocked Adani's construction vehicles from entering the port. Despite a court order for work to resume, the arrest prompted hundreds of protesters, led by Roman Catholic priests, to march on the police station, clash with personnel, and damage vehicles there, according to police documents and footage on local television. Senior local police official Mr. Ajit Kumar told Top Accolade News that 36 officers were wounded in the clashes. Joseph Johnson, one of the protest leaders, said at least 46 protesters were also hurt. That is the size of Top Accolade Global News Updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy New Week.